Legend tales of a place where the booze flows freely and the stories are always entertaining. If you are bold enough to seek out such a place, head 13 miles down the Tuscan Highway to a tiny blues joint known as the Townsmith Tavern. Once there, enjoy the ride. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to a UA production of Beer, Blues, and Bowl.
Excuse me, you can't say that. You're gonna lose your family-friendly rating. You're gonna corrupt the kids.
BS! A podcast that invites you to grab a cold beverage, pull up a seat, and enjoy time with friends. And here are your hosts, Howard Blues and the Mark Kidder.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Beer, Blues, and BS, the podcast that insomniacs use to cure narcolepsy. I'm your host, Howard Blues, here, as always, with my co-host, the man, the myth, the legend, the Mark Kidder. Kidder, how you doing this week?
Yeah. Oh, hey, we're doing this thing. I think you said something about narcolepsy and insomnia.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, here we are. This is going to be a great show. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. What, too much?
I was going to say, for the audience that doesn't realize this, we're starting this at 11:10 on Friday night. So
in the central time zone.
Yeah, a little bit of a late start, but we're going to roll with it. We're going to push through. We're going to make this happen.
We might actually be or have a show that is under 2 hours for once in the past month.
Actually,
Maybe.
We've been running closer to like the hour 30, hour 40 mark. So we've actually been somewhat better. It just seems really long, but
well,
there's some stuff I cut out
for me. And on top of it, I mean, maybe some people want us to go longer. I don't know. We haven't had any feedback of like, you guys don't talk enough or you guys talk too much. You know, those sorts of things that you could tell us on the comment section on whatever medium you are watching or listening to us on at this very moment, or perhaps on our Facebook page, or perhaps in our email. Perhaps there are many venues that you can express your content or discontent. But that's for another day. How about we talk about how we're doing? I'm okay. I am glad that it's today. And when we talked about doing this, doing our normal routine earlier, not gonna lie, I was like, I'm just kind of dragging. Like I was drained from this short week. So, of course, the week we're recording this on is the week after the 4th of July holiday weekend. So Monday was the observed holiday, shortened work week for those of us in the federal holiday recognizing business. But Tuesday was just like 2 Mondays and a Tuesday combined. Just a complete pile thrown into a dumpster fire. It was stupid. Wednesday was still kind of the residual for that, and then it was just continued through Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And it's like, can we just stop the crazy train for a minute and think about some things? Just calm down. Calm down. And like, all right, whatever. Continue along and do the thing and continue the excellence in broadcasting that you and I do here on this very program. And when got a little relaxation into me here for a good hour, I was like, you know what? I'm feeling this. So let's go do this damn thing because it's Friday night, baby. It's time for Triple B. I'm not going to miss a week. So we need to get this thing going. So that's where I'm at. That's the whole roundabout thing. Before I toss it over to you and see how you're doing, how your week was and whatnot, should we mesh this, do a blend of sorts with a what's on tap, and then I can start drinking, and then you can start drinking, and we can all drink together merrily.
Of course, you immediately want to go to what's on tap.
Well, I mean, it seemed like a natural segue. Like, oh, this is this week. So what can help? How about a nice cold beer? I love ND. How about it? Okay. So I'm going for it. I'm just gonna go for it. Talk about this in like 30 seconds, and then I'm throwing this like a beer getting thrown at Stone Cold, and you're gonna catch that some bitch, and oh hell yeah, I'm gonna go straight on for it. So this one, oh, he's taking notes. I know you can't see it because he didn't say anything, but he's like, huh? Oh. It's gonna be good. So this is the Laughing Sun I Heart ND. It is a golden ale, as they say. On this portion of the old can, it is discussing drink North Dakota craft beer. The sun doesn't question. It doesn't judge. It simply gives life. Laughing Sun, which is the brewery in Bismarck that makes this fine beverage. Laughing Sun is our beer and your beer. Local brewery, local ingredients, growing community. Take Laughing Sun with you. And they say cheers from the Laughing Sun family over here. It's brewed right here in Bismarck, North Dakota. And on top of that, let me turn this. Oh, here's the fun facts for it. So alcohol by volume, 4%. What kind of beer? Golden ale. And what am I tasting? Light, crisp, and North Dakota. So we shall see what North Dakota tastes like. Keep cold, enjoy fresh. Please recycle. This is 12 full ounces of the golden ale. And as, of course, we had discussed before, not like that lesser 11-ounce bottle trying to mimic itself as a full adult beverage. So let's go ahead and open this bad boy up. The first aroma, get the weedy golden tastes tickling your taste buds in your nostrils. That would be your sensory glands. I don't know. I'm sure we have some extra scientific things that I can't think of at 11:16 p.m. But here's a good taste for you. All right. So it is crisp. It's got the crisp to it and a nice golden light flavor to it. So definitely a nice relaxing drinker here. So I'm gonna keep drinking this. So buddy, how was your week?
So I was gonna say, so you're tossing it over to me?
Oh hell yeah.
All right, kidder. Pull. You know what? I'm gonna skip what's gone on in my week because I want to get to what's on tap. Because while you ran
jealous.
up and got your beer, mine's been sitting here getting warm, waiting for you. So we'll come back to my week. Kidder, it's interesting that you have the I Heart North Dakota beer because I'm also trying a Dakota themed beer. I have a Summit.
It's all over the
Dakota Soul here. So this one I will say for bottles that give a lot of info, this has like none. I know it's a North Dakota barley. I know it's a Midwest style craft lager. And that's about it. So this will be a, nothing given away on this bottle. As opposed to a bottle I had earlier tonight. Actually, it was a can, but Kidder, I was at a function tonight. It just so happens to be IPA Rob's birthday.
Well, happy birthday to IPA Rob.
Yeah. So
not judging you, just your taste in beverage.
So
no, we're not.
We were over at his place enjoying a nice, calm, kind of everybody chilling on the deck, drinking beer, having pulled pork sandwiches. Just a nice time. And he gave me to try, at least, or he suggested one that was interesting. It came from, okay, this gets back to brewing companies with funky names, but Drum Conrate Brewing Company out of Fargo. It was called the beer is called Ribbon Man, and it is an Irish style red ale with honey. So 5.5% alcohol. Kidder, this thing had so much stuff on the can. I tried to take photos of it. I was also trying to keep Junior from falling off the deck, so the photos aren't the greatest. But I will put some up. Of course, if you're checking out the video version of this podcast, you'll be seeing that lovely picture of the can with all the info on the side there. But
is it that side? It was
an okay beer.
Or that side?
Just wondering. It would be that way, which I
floating.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay.
It'll be on the left side of the screen.
Okay.
As you are looking at it.
Okay.
So
how good was
it? That was pretty good. But yeah, it was a nice chill event. And when Junior said, "Hey, it's time for my bedtime," we came home. So yeah,
awesome. But, I'm glad that you had a good time.
Yeah.
So what's so that smell right there?
It doesn't have a really distinct smell. I mean, it smells like beer. So I'm kind of already worried that this is going to be somewhat on the generic side of things, Kidder. Yeah. I think I hit it with it's a generic lager. Yay. Which I know now people are like, I'm disappointed. Because it's just a generic lager. Where's the funky stuff, Howard? Where's the stuff that we all kind of wonder why on earth you drink? So this is kind of a little bit of a letdown compared to some of the beers of the past episodes. But it's not a bad lager, but it's it's the kind that, hey, if you had a 12-pack of, you could sit and drink them, and then you wouldn't necessarily think you had anything special. How's that?
Sure.
I think that's a good review.
An easy drinker. Fair enough.
Right.
All right.
The kind of thing that you might take and pour into a glass with some large olives.
That would be good. Do you have your olives handy?
I don't. I finished those.
I didn't know if you replenished your supply by now, because that would have been helpful too, right? Get a couple extra.
Well, normally, Kidder, yes, but because we're trying to pack up, get ready for this move, you kind of look at it and you go, do I really need olives?
Right. Yeah.
So
one less thing to have, pack, move, store, stuff, whatever. Understandable.
Yeah.
I will say with the I Heart ND beer that I have here, I got antsy. So last weekend when I dropped by your place and I brought you one of these and a couple of the Grain Belt Blues, talked about that last week, so we don't have to rehash that. But went out, found some, found I think a 12-pack or whatever, and I brought you a couple and brought you one of these as well, so you could try it at your leisure or on the show. Ended up coming home and having a Grain Belt Blue, and then I had one of these. That was a mistake because it completely ruined the flavor of this. Now, the flavoring of the Grain Belt Blue, very good. And I hope that you like it. We've discussed the blueberry beer and fruit and all that. But I don't know what it was or if it was a bad can, but I couldn't drink it. And then the wife, same thing. She had a blue and then tried to drink it. Couldn't drink it. So ended up having to out the door. I mean, it was like completely bad. So I am extremely happy that it was a limited, experience, and that this is much tastier. And I salute our friends over at Laughing Sun for another quality beer. So hopefully they continue getting some of the better ones that are not IPAs, and maybe even jump on board this show.
Yeah. Well, and from what I'm hearing from this, and I haven't tried the Grain Belt Blues yet, but what I'm hearing is that they're definitely not a sacrificial beer. But they're your finisher. I will say, Kidder, compared to the two beers that I had tonight, I kind of wish I had them now in reversed order. I kind of wish that this one was my first one, so that I could have maybe gotten a little bit more of the flavor of the other one. But I didn't have a sacrificial before that because figuring we were going to be doing the show, it's like 3 beers.
Why not?
I have to pack a house. I need to be somewhat functional tomorrow.
Okay. Well, upright and mostly awake. That's functional.
Yeah. Kidder, you asked before the What's on Tap about my week, and I have to echo a lot of your same sentiments about, the Tuesday after, 4th of July. My Tuesday was actually spent, I drove all the way to Fort Abercrombie State Historic Site, spent the day out there because we're into July, and man, I really haven't done a lot of the site visits. I try to get to my sites. I usually try to get like twice a summer. Usually once kind of towards the beginning, once then again towards kind of the middle or the end. It's just part of my management philosophy. Kind of hard to manage that which you don't ever see or visit. So
and on top of it, it's a lot better to visit in the summer when the temperature is above 60 degrees instead of 60 below.
No, and I like seeing the sites when they're busy, seeing how they're operating on a regular day. And I go and I spend a day on site. I usually try and get there close to opening, and I usually will stay close to closing. And I want to see a full day. I want to see everything, how they interact. And as I tell my site supervisors, I do that because I'm here then for a day. They have a day to show me anything they need to show me, talk to me about anything they need to talk to me about, tell me anything they need to tell me. They have my undivided attention for a day. And that's a pretty big thing because I manage, I'm one of 3 people who manage 59 state historic sites. We have kind of the 12 big ones, so I got about half of those. That's a lot of sites, and they all have different things that are popping off all the time. So it's hard to get my full and divided attention. So when I'm on site, it's like, I'm here for you. I want to hear what you have. And I will usually come back, to the agency the next day and be like, okay, here we got to go. I got to do this. I'm going to try and do this for them. I'm going to tackle this. So I was at Abercrombie on Tuesday. I had a huge catch-up day kind of Wednesday because I was going to be gone again Thursday. I went up to Fort Totten. So I had to get all that done. So today, Friday, I'm telling you, man, I'm exhausted. 2 kind of long 12-hour days this week, and even though it's a short week, my Wednesday was filled with trying to have stuff ready. I had museum collections committee meeting I had to go through and do all that stuff for. It was a lot of stuff. So this morning happens. You'll appreciate this, and I think this will be a lovely segue kind of into the next topic. I get up this morning. I'm tired. I get dressed, and it's been nice out, so I don't grab a coat. Because I work for the state, I have state equipment I have to kind of protect. I don't leave it in my car overnight. Even though I live in a safe neighborhood, I just don't need somebody to steal any of that. And I was up at Taunton with cameras and all of this stuff. So I load all of this stuff up because I'm going to make one trip out. I open my door. I'm very cautiously trying to get out so I don't wake the wife and the kid. Lock my door, close my door, turn around, take a step off my stoop, and it is just downpouring this morning.
Oh, yes. Yes, it was.
I don't have a coat. I don't have an umbrella in the car. I park kind of at the far end of the Capitol property and walk. So I had to sit. I ended up sitting in my car, kind of waiting for it to die down in a little bit, and it did eventually. So I'm like, okay, gonna make the run. So I'm heading in, and I'm just bolting, get inside, get scanned through, start going down the hall, and I'm like, I'm missing something. My coffee was all the way back in my car.
Was it in the car or on the car?
It was in the car.
Okay.
It was in the car. I hadn't quite gotten it out. Because it was one of those, like, I got out of the car, I'm like, I had everything, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna go. And I originally, as I was preparing, it's like, okay, I'm gonna hop out, I'll turn around, I'll grab my coffee, we'll go. And it's the turnaround, it was like, nope, we're going. So I ended up wet and with a cup of cold coffee by the time I got to it later this afternoon. So yeah, so it has been a week. I did get to leave work early, had some comp time from all my travel, so I came home, spent some time with the wife and Junior, and then went to the birthday party this evening. And had a lovely time there, and then came home. And as we talked about, you were feeling drained, so we're like, we're not going to do the podcast. We'll try for tomorrow. Wife and I come down here. It's like, hey, let's fire up Stardew. So Kidder, we were in the middle of the Luau summer event, and you get this text from me like, hey, let's do this. And it's like, okay. So, man, you're taking away my Stardew Valley time. I mean, listen, we just got a big crop of melons in. I have stuff to do. I got 2 fish left to catch in the summer. I gotta get a shad and a catfish. I just need it to rain. I mean, I have stuff to do, man. I'm giving up quite a bit. There's progress not being made in Stardew because I'm here recording the show with you. So cheers.
Well, grab your hoe and start working on that field and grabbing your melons and shooting your pole out into the lake so you can snatch some of that fish while we're doing this, because why not? Too much?
Because the wife went to bed and I'm not allowed to play without her.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Well, I will. I'm opening. I got a Shiner box here that has been waiting for me because I finished the first one and I'm still thirsty. So, again, cheers to you. I'm just happy to be here and have some fun. So, it kind of makes me think that this morning you made it through the adventure, but at the same time you were doing some impromptu storm chasing. And a little bit of the storm chasing you. And, of course, our background, we have been chasing storms for almost 20 years here. And the best picture that we have, I think, is in high school, went out chasing some tornadoes, and there was a scud cloud that our friend Colin took the picture of the two of us, our arms, and behind us is this scud cloud that's shaped like a skull. Like, okay, this is kind of bizarre. So, but ever since then, we've been having fun storm chasing when we can, which has been kind of few and far between, but still something that I wish I had some more time to do. Still wish that I could take like a month or two off, go down into the plains and do some professional storm chasing and whatnot. One individual, of course, somewhat widely known, Reed Timmer, he was up here yesterday for the threat of severe weather, and there were numerous severe thunderstorm warnings yesterday across western North Dakota, but no tornadoes touched down that I am aware of. So some great imagery that he got yesterday, and a bunch of other storm chasers were able to get some very picturesque storms, but nothing too crazy up here for a while. In May, I think it was in May already, there was a tornado that touched down in or a land spout, technically, in Tappan, which of course is around an hour away, depending on how fast you drive on I-94. But just outside of Tappan, touched down and ended up just hanging out in a field, and some very picturesque photos resulting from that. So that was pretty cool. Going back to our storm chasing days, if you will, sometimes we chased a storm, sometimes the storms came to us, like in high school, when the November 1st, 2000 tornadoes danced through the Bismarck-Mandan area. No, what? They did the twist?
Well,
No?
okay, listen. Listen. Okay, I'm gonna interject because you brought up the November tornado.
Okay.
So, as Kidder said, if you were listening carefully, you got the date. That happened in November of 2000. I moved to Bismarck in February of 2001. All I heard after I moved to North Dakota from everybody I met in Century High School was two things. One, did you know we had a tornado here in November? Two, if North Dakota were to secede from the Union, we would have more nuclear weapons than any other country.
We'd be the number 1 or number 4
I don't
nuclear
know
power
why.
in the world. Yes.
Yeah. And Kidder laughs, but I mean, this would come up in the strangest, like this wasn't even a thing of like, it came up naturally in conversation, you know?
It's like at
I
the
remember,
urinal,
like standing in line for lunch, and
that meme.
I didn't have it at the urinal, but like standing in the lunch line, and some kid from a class that I was in with him was like, "No, hey, you're new." Yeah.
Yep.
Did you know that if North Dakota succeeds, it's like, why is this everybody's lead-off fact? So,
well, it's very impressive.
Yeah, the nuclear...
If we seceded, we would be the number 4 nuclear power in the world. At least something like that. It's been a while since I've looked up the actual statistics on the nukes and whatnot. Of course, we've had a lot moved out of the state or decommissioned.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. No, those two things. Those were like the two events. Like, and even the tornado, like after a while, like I had been here, like it was not as fresh, but like people would still talk about the tornado like there was some sort of trauma associated with it, and it was always like, oh yeah, man, when that tornado came through last November, ooh, that was rough. Howard, where were you during that tornado? I was in South Dakota. I wasn't here. Oh, yeah, that was a frightening situation, that tornado. Oh yeah, we were in the hallways, getting shelter.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've heard.
Oh, but
Did
did
you
you
know
know?
that if North Dakota seceded,
Yep. Every time.
every time,
The crazy thing
and
about
if people ever went,
the tornadoes. So the one that was basically touching down in North Bismarck, started on the east side of State Street, just north of Century, touched down enough to pick up a dumpster and throw it at a lady's car, and it injured her, and she had to have some surgery and whatnot. Rose up above State Street and Red Lobster and the American Inn, and then started descending again as it crossed that would be 14th Street, where Century is, and the red carpet car wash came across the back portion of, or the north portion of Century High School. At the time, the North Gymnasium hadn't been built yet. There was an open field just north of the school. Now, that wall is the gymnasium and the band room and the choir room. At that time, we were in one of my choir classes, and we are looking through the window, which is, up to the ceiling for natural light into the room, where the above the emergency exit door leading out of the building. And one of my classmates is looking, he's like, "Hey, that's kind of weird." And of course, all of us look over, and there's a red or pink, somewhere magenta plastic snow sled that you would, go down a hill on, past the window, and we're like, "Well, that's pretty weird." Somebody goes, "Oh, it's a tornado," and I'm like, "That is not a tornado. It's got to be really windy." And all of a sudden, past the window again. Well, that's kind of weird. And then, just like that, the pressure dropped. All of our ears started popping, and it sounded like the door that we were staring at right underneath this window was, number one, getting sandblasted from outside, and number two, you could see it shaking like it was going to get ripped straight off the hinges. So we were like, "Oh, that's kind of weird," and then it and stopped, and we're like, "Whoa, that's kind of weird." Finish doing whatever we were in the middle of, because we just continued doing what we were doing. About 5 minutes later, "Everyone, please go to your tornado shelters. There's been tornadoes reported in the area." Wait, so yeah, that was a tornado that went by like 5 minutes ago. So we're still here, and the tornado is not here anymore. So why are we going to our tornado shelters? So then we had to wait until almost 5 p.m. until they lifted the citywide emergency so then people could leave. So kind of bizarre with that. Another portion about the tornado that Jake has heard many times, there were people in the parking lot of the school watching this from a long enough distance away. So the firsthand experience of seeing the funnel kind of dance across, and it's throwing rocks and stuff at cars in the parking lot. And so people came out to damage to their vehicles. But as it came across the north part of the school where the football field is, and of course the track around it, there was an equipment shed, and it had power to it, kind of on the edge of the middle of the track. Well, the tornado came down just enough where it came right up to that little unsuspecting shed, and it obliterated it. people out in the parking lot said that it looked like a bomb went off in there. It just exploded. There are pieces going every direction, sparks and 2x4s and everything going straight up into the funnel, and it was just all over the place. So then, of course, after that, it went west and up one of the streets just to the west of Century and 4th Street over there, and ended up damaging, I think, 5 homes in that neighborhood to varying degree. And then after that, lifted up, kind of went outside of town, and just north of town in 1804 was touched down in some open country, and there's some awesome photos from that part of it because it was in a very open area, so you could see the full funnel coming down from the wall cloud, and of course just ripping up some dirt and not doing a whole lot. So again, sorry you missed out on that, but I mean, it's basically like you were there because of how many times you heard it, so you lived it.
I can even tell you that the jazz band was enjoying Waffle Cone Wednesday over at the TCBY, and were on their way back when the tornado started touching down and ran from the tornado from the TCBY across the street and into the building. I've heard that story many times. So, yes.
It's very good. I'm glad that you were there.
Yep.
So,
yep. You know, had to move to a state that if it succeeded from the union, it would have the. Okay, I'm done with that show.
I mean, you might as well tell it a few more times because we have to show our supremacy. We have to spread this wealth of information that if we seceded, we would be a top nuclear power.
Yeah, but then I'd have to call a penalty on myself for roughing a dead horse. And,
that's true.
You know, so a little self-control here.
How about, if it's an Atlantic cruise or a Caribbean cruise or a polar cruise, or however you said that?
Alaskan or Caribbean was all I said. I didn't even bother throwing in more cruises. Yeah, you see, I was going to say earlier, Kidder, if anybody ever wonders, part of the reason why High School Howard was a jerk, it's because of this. It was because of these repetitive stories.
Well, you're going to love the episode when the funny guy shows up, because then it's going to be a whole lot of repetition.
Well, yes, but I'm kind of used to that repetition. But I mean, this was one of those things, like you move here and it's like that's all that anybody ever tells you or says. You kind of sit there and go, man, what is this place? They only have 2 things they ever talk about: a tornado that happened, in November of 2000, and nuclear missiles. There is nothing else. And
I took a nuclear weapons class in college.
I did know that.
I know. I just wanted to throw that out there. It seemed like the right time. Did you know that we are top nuclear power? If you were just
speaking of how we were a top nuclear power, next Friday I'll be coming in to this show fresh off of visiting Oscar Zero State Historic Site, so part of the Ronald Reagan Minuteman missile site. So I will be out there for the day. So I'll be coming in fresh from next time we bring this show to the masses
with some stories and maybe a photo or 2. And I think that's going to be fantastic. I mean, I know I've wanted to go up there with you. You've invited me, and I'm hoping that we can get one of these days where we can go, because that would also make a good little segment or something to add to this show. But aside from, I'm just super interested seeing it, how they, had to do some of their procedures and what they had to live like. And of course, during my nuclear weapons class, we talked a lot about that, including the Oscar Zero site itself, because around that time was the transitional period of when they were trying to sell it and create it into, or create a historical site out of that facility. So always want to see it.
Kidder, not that I like to, I don't tend to promote my work stuff on the Triple B. I try to promote the Triple B on the Triple B. But if you have not joined the Ronald Reagan Minuteman Missile State Historic Site Facebook page or liked that, I highly recommend it. My site supervisor there does a phenomenal job he puts posts up fairly regularly, but he is so passionate about that topic, and he has just such a great kind of personality and such with it. I'm not a Cold War history guy, but he makes it interesting. Like I read his posts, I watch his videos. He just put up a video this week that was about the connection between the missile defense system and NASA, and some of the connections between the rockets that they were using in the space race and the rockets of the missile defense system. So he does a lot of really great stuff, a lot of really phenomenal stuff. If you have any sort of interest in that topic, I highly recommend following that page if you want to learn more. It really is. As I said, as a guy who doesn't really tend to care for Cold War history, he makes me enjoy it, and that's always a great compliment in my field. So, Kidder, I highly recommend that one to you as somebody who does have some interest in kind of that. And for the audience, he is showing. He's done it. He's pulled it up. He is joining, or at least liking and following, the Ronald Reagan Minuteman Missile State Historic Site Facebook page. So, yeah.
I joined because why not?
Yeah.
Some quality information there. So, looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to getting up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole Star Wars program and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I will have to take you out there sometime, Kidder, and such. I do have something else I'll talk to you after the show about. That's another historic site thing, but that's
misty.
Yeah, that's kind of my profession, reaching out to your profession. But anyway, Kidder, I want to get a little bit back to storm chasing.
Yes.
One thing I wanted to say that we should say is that it's not like we are just the pure rank novice amateur, like, hey, there's bad weather, grab the lawn chair, we might see something. Okay, we were a little bit of that in high school, but I just want to throw this out here, Kidder. You've actually taken Skywarn training and have taken some courses and certification to do storm chasing.
Yes.
And such.
Yep. So in Grand Forks, it was almost a lot easier for us because we planned specifically around it. But every year we would do our spring recertification for Skywarn training and go over things and get together, have make an evening out of it, talk weather, and kind of geek out and learn new things that have been discovered over the past year. And, really, really interesting stuff for us nerds. And I think you were along for at least one of them when we went out to Crookston for the annual show. Nope, never didn't make it. Okay. We would always invite as many people as we could and get 2 or 3 carloads of people. We'd all drive out to Crookston after eating at I-29, because nothing like a good road trip after a delicious meal from the classic Big Sue Cafe. May it rest in peace. But not only taking the class every year, doing the basic spotter training and the advanced spotter training after that, but I with all my time in college originally began in the atmospheric science program at UND. So I took enough classes where I think I ended up being 1 or 2 from a minor in meteorology. And so I took a lot of the atmospheric science meteorology courses to help understand how weather works, where it goes, what it does, those sorts of things. And then found out that you need Calc 1, Calc 2, advanced atmospheric science calculus, and computer programming. And I went, no, I am not going to be in college for the next 20 years. So I switched over to the communication program. So there's that. And of course, the interesting thing is ever since, even before college, been a weather nerd. In fact, in my backyard, when I was a kid of like 8 years old, I had essentially a weather bureau diary. Time, temp, sky condition, barometric pressure, dew point reading, and I would write it all down. And I did what I could to keep it 6 p.m. like every day. But of course, as an 8-year-old, you get sidetracked with other things and eventually lose interest and different things like that. But it still holds true today that I'm still doing what I can to share weather information, keep people safe, informed as best they can, talk about severe weather as it's coming, which is why I got the KRDN Eyewitness Weather Now page, which again yesterday was running full steam, showing all of the warnings coming in, lightning data, showing the storms exactly where they were, and keeping you ahead of the storm with KRDN Eyewitness Weather Now, your 24-hour news and weather station, mainly weather, because it's automated and I can let it run while I get some sleep. What? I'm not awake all the time.
No, I know that. It made me laugh. Okay, you got a chuckle out of me.
I'm glad. Thanks for that. So yeah, and of course it's running off to my left here, but do some storm tracking on the channel whenever it's coming up. Show some things if I have extra time and it's really firing up, ramping up. I love just diving deep into that storm or the line of storms, checking out the velocity data, seeing where the wind flow and the updrafts, downdrafts are going. What's going on in that storm? Is there rotation? Is there tight rotation? A broad mesocyclone, like this whole storm is rotating, or is there a tight gradient in there that's talking about what could be not only a wall cloud, but potentially lead to a funnel or a tornado? There's things like that. You get the vertically integrated liquid, the VIL data. You can see how far water is going up into the atmosphere just from data from the Doppler radar. There's so many cool things that the radars do, and it's something we can talk about another time, maybe when we have a gentleman from a certain Indiana state on the show who can discuss some of those geeky things as well. I mean, unless he doesn't want to, because he's scared of sharing or perhaps going head to head with a former classmate who beat him in the forecasting contest.
I will say, Kidder, just for the audience, he actually got his meteorology degree.
That's true. It's true.
So just throwing that out there.
Mm-hmm.
One, to throw it out there. Two, I just took some of his ammunition away because it's now out there. He can't hit you with well, at least I got my degree.
Oh, I got a degree too. And C's get degrees, so you don't have to be good to get the degree. Just good enough. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, Kidder, and it's one of those things. I do need to say, like, out of the two of us, you're the weather guy. My interest in weather is mild at best. You know,
I see what you did
for
there.
those,
I see what you did there.
yeah,
Mild.
uh,
You're
yeah.
warming
I
up
mean, when
to
we
it.
have done storm chasing, yeah, a lot of times, like, when we did go chasing, I would actually be the driver of that because one Kidder would be like, "Oh, look at this over here! Look at this over here!" You know, bouncing around the car, wanting to take photos, videos, things like that. So it kind of had helped to be like the one guy who's like, "Yeah, this is bad weather. I'm just going to focus on the road and making sure we don't die." You know, so that was kind of my role, was to do that. And if Kidder did like, we should head that way, okay, I would try and head that way. If he said, "Ooh, we should stay away from there," it's like, okay, we're moving away from there, you know. And that was my role in it. It still had a lot of fun doing it, but yeah, I don't geek out about weather as much as you do. I do enjoy a good, you know, thunderstorm. That's probably been the best thing about moving back to North Dakota. I lived in Montana for a number of years in a nice mountain valley, and we didn't have thunderstorms. And so for 4 years, I didn't get to see a thunderstorm. And so I do enjoy being back and watching lightning and listening to the thunder and all of that.
The funny thing about when brother Nico and I drove you back, or well, we drove each other out, but to you. The funny thing about that is, while we stayed the week with you, there was severe weather in the area where we were, and even thunderstorms while we stayed there. So I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know if we just attract it or maybe detract sometimes, because a lot of the time we don't get the good storms around here. But I just thought it was interesting, you know, the three of us in the same place, same time, and you're like, "It never storms up here. There's never any storms ever." And then severe thunderstorm coming right at us and dropping some hail. Here it is.
Yeah. As I said, we haven't dove into that whole trek story because we need brother Nico to do it. But that trip should really be like, you know, titled with some subtitle, because it's Kidder and Nico's trip to Montana to see Howard, also known as A Lot of Lies. You know, and Kidder will know why. We'll get into it at some point. Next time we have brother Nico, we gotta talk about that, because that was like one trip that was just like destined to prove me wrong in so many ways. And I still haven't lived some of that down. And that's okay. But yeah, we need to get brother Nico back on this show because I think having it from the three perspectives, I think that's going to be a great episode. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
any excuse to have him back on the show as well is going to be a good show. And while we're talking about the other good brothers not joining us this evening and storm chasing, wanted to add that Rudeboy Kyle had an impromptu chase that showed up at his back door today, and got some video that he sent over to us. And I mean, check this out.
What do you think? Pretty cool storm, huh? Mm-hmm.
Hailing all over the place and getting crazy. Look like about $50 size hail there. And of course, a quick side note for those of you playing the home game, if you get hailed on and you're like, I feel like posting this on Facebook or sending it to the weather service or perhaps a TV station, either, get number one, freeze it and then get a ruler so you can take a picture with a ruler next to it. Or if you have change on you, quarters, nickels, dimes, whatever the case is, $50, you can put those next to the hailstone as well, and that can give an accurate representation of that as well. And that helps when you're reporting that information to the weather service, so then they can make informed decisions about issuing severe thunderstorm warnings or tornado warnings, or even doing damage assessments after the storms have gone. But yeah, there was a pretty strong storm that was dropping 1.5 inch plus size hail in areas of Des Moines, northwest portions of the suburbs of Des Moines, dropping some pretty large hail. So, and I actually he sent us a couple shots of what he had going on there, and I did a couple screen grabs of the radar as it was coming into Des Moines. So take a look if you're watching the visual interpretation. And if not, I'll just describe that there is some very intense weather coming in, very strong storm with, in fact, the weather service describing it as a dangerous storm as it was coming in. I mean, 1.5 inch plus size hail, you're talking softballs falling from the sky, and that's going to do some damage. And I can guarantee that things like Flex Seal are not going to fix that in your cranium. So things like that, you want to be safe. You want to do what you can to get inside. And that's why they issue those warnings. So again, describing the storms that came in, had some rotation. The mesocyclone was spinning up a little bit, some strong upper level winds as that storm came cruising through, and it was the only storm, so it was sucking up a whole bunch of moisture and energy from the atmosphere. So it had that potential to really create those larger hailstones. The other fun fact, side note, if you will, when you get the larger hailstones like that, that means that there is some significant air moving up in the updraft of the storm. As the air comes in out of the front of the storm into the storm as it gets elevated for that lifting mechanism, so the air gets pushed upward and that water gets pushed straight up into the storm. Well, what happens when it gets to a certain freezing level? Well, the water freezes, right? So it freezes into a particulate and then it starts falling down again. Well, the air is still, coming up, and so that little stone or particulate keeps going like this in the storm until it gets too heavy for that updraft, and then if it essentially defeats the uplift or gravity, falls to the ground as a hailstone. So the storms with the weaker updrafts in them don't specifically have a lot of upward force. I mean, you're still talking 60 to 100 mile per hour wind, potentially, going straight up into the storm. But those large hailstones, there was a new record set a month or two ago in the southern U.S. that was a ridiculous, it was like a small watermelon-sized hailstone or something. I mean, imagine a 15-pound piece of ice being suspended mile in the atmosphere. Like, that's just insane. And how much moisture is sitting above us and around us right now? How many cubic gallons of moisture is absolutely nuts. So,
yeah, Kidder, talking about hail and storm chasing, we have often talked about what might make a suitable storm chasing vehicle.
yes.
So we didn't have to drive our vehicles into these places where hail, you kind of want something that's like, maybe a bit more of a beater and things. And we for a while have even talked about like maybe even like an old ambulance would work well.
Yes.
And I bring this up to tell you that unfortunately the ambulance that was for sale in Dickinson, it has sold. The last time I went past the lot, it was gone. But I tell you this to bring it up. You know Shuey.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I ever told you about this, but
Okay, this should be good.
The year, so kind of 2018, 2019, while I was living in Dickinson, managing the Chateau de Morez, one of my wife's cousins lived with me. He was going to school at DSU. We call him Shuey. Anyway, he hit a deer with his car. And there's a lot of question about, repairing it, totaling it out, getting a new vehicle. Like he didn't know he had to go through that with his parents. But for a while, it looked like his car was going to be gone. And there was this ambulance that sat at one of these used car dealerships. And it was kind of between our place and Walmart. So we ended up driving past this quite frequently. And I, for about 3 or 4 months, just kept bugging him about this ambulance and how he should buy it. And it would be a great car for college. You have to think about it. It's spacious. He's a college student. He could haul all of his books there. He's got room in the back, so in between classes, you could, take a nice nap. Put a nice little cot in there. And I kept this up, as I said, for like 2 months. Like every time we go by, it's like, "Hey, your ambulance is still there." And he would just give me this, "Shut up," every time. And I would find interesting ways to bring it up in different conversation. Like he had some frustration about having to try to find parts for his car. And he's like, "I've been calling junkyards to try and find a hood." I'm like, "No, you wouldn't have to do all this if you just bought the ambulance." So I pestered him for about 2 months about it. And so sure enough, this last time when I went through and the ambulance was gone, I snapped a photo and like,
of course you did.
Like, so did you buy it or do I need to offer you my condolences that somebody swiped this beautiful ambulance from you? I didn't really get a response, but yeah, it's yeah, I was kind of sad to see that one go because that would have been a nice storm chasing vehicle. I do have to say.
I'm trying to remember about when that was because I'm in our conversations and back to 2017 right now. So there may be the potential to get something posted, some kind of quality. I think 2017 might be the end of my total portion of the conversation, unfortunately. But a fun shot of the Des Moines Science Center that I sent to you. So there's that.
I just realized we both kind of have devolved to that portion of the podcast where we're now both looking on our phones for.
Hey, let's look at something. Yeah, this should be good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just one of those where I'm like, okay, I know I have some of this ambulance chatter on here, and I just kind of want to see if I could find some of it.
It's okay. Future Howard can cut this out.
Yeah, he probably will. There's the actual wreck.
Here's the flooding at the chateau.
Zoning Symposium. I could have sworn I had texted him at least once or twice about this. But,
How about this one? Remember this one?
Gosh,
Did I send you a message that we got a coupon for Painted Woods golfing?
No, you had not. Boy, that's a topic we should again, maybe not tonight, but we got to tell some golf stories on here sometime.
The skirt.
Yeah. Well, Kidder, I thought I would tell you about a new controversy that I'm following because, as you know, I like to follow a good spicy controversy.
Oh, this is spicy. I am very interested.
And there's nothing better in the controversies I follow than angry nerds. And that's what's going to happen here. So one of the companies that I follow, I buy a lot of miniatures and models from and paint from. For those in the audience who don't know, one of my hobbies is painting miniatures, models, things like that. But one of the companies that I regularly purchase from is a company called Reaper Miniatures out of Denton, Texas. And every few years they do a big Bones Kickstarter. Bones is this plasticky material that they make some of their miniatures out of, and they're dirt cheap, and you can get a lot of miniatures for like not a lot of money. It's fantastic. Anyway, so last Kickstarter, so that would have been Bones 4, they had some problems. They ran out of a few of the pieces because one of the containers from China hadn't arrived. And they came up with a very, very good thing, which was they continued on, and anybody who had one of these missing figures, they just held that order aside, and once the figures came in, then they kind of picked back up in line because I guess I should explain, with their Kickstarter, they do everything in waves. So if you're in wave 1, then you are going to get your stuff before the people in wave 2 and wave 3. The difference between these waves is like, I think it's like 2 hours. Like when they finish wave 1, it takes them like 2 hours to reset, and then they start wave 2. So the amount of wait time, they usually get to like wave 14. Like the amount of wait time in between waves is pretty small. Anyway, that was what they did with Bones 4. So here comes Bones 5. Okay, and they have problems, as most people have probably heard. There's problems with a shortage of shipping containers coming from China. A lot of products are being delayed. A lot of things are being delayed. Well, Reaper's had some of this. They've had one container that hasn't quite gotten to their facility yet, and it's missing. And because of that, they're missing some key sets from the Kickstarter. And they decided to implement what they did with Bones 4. It's like, let's start at wave 1. We'll go down. Any order that has one of these missing pieces, we'll hold off. We're going to go as far as we can. When that container shows, and when we get it, we're going to go back to wave 1, and we'll start filling those orders. Sounds like a great plan, right?
Yep.
There are people who are upset about this. And then it gets even better. So now you have all this tension because some people are getting their miniatures and they're posting the pictures in the Facebook group and showing off all these wonderful things they're getting. There's other people who are like, I got a wave 1. Where's my shit? And this led to what I'm calling Boxgate. Because people were so excited about receiving their figures that they started posting pictures, not of the miniatures, not of the packaging material, but of the actual shipping box that these came in. So it's a plain brown box. And these folks are taking pictures and like, oh, look, mine arrived today. Or, hey, look, mine says that it weighs X amount of kilograms. and you have more people who are like upset. Like I have seen so many posts of like, well, people stop posting pictures of their boxes. My feed is nothing but people's boxes. I'm so sick of the boxes.
Sounds like it's time to get off of Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we are a group of people who find enjoyment in collecting and painting little plastic men, little fantasy figures, and it's just amazing how upset people have gotten over this. I'm in wave 1 of this Kickstarter. I haven't gotten my stuff because I have some of the things that are, and I just look at them like, okay, this happened to me in Bones 4 too. I ended up further down. I didn't really care. It's like, I got my stuff. I was happy. Who cares if it comes 3 weeks later? Yeah. I mean, it's like, I'm going to get my stuff. The company is an amazing company to work with. They're the only company I know of that, like, if you do get a figure and it's like, oh, it's missing a piece, you write them an email, you say, hey, here's the figure, I'm missing a piece. You don't send any photos, you just write that out, and you would think, gosh, they're going to just send me the missing piece. Nope. They go, hey, here's a whole new figure. Enjoy. Which you don't see that often,
Mm-hmm.
And it blows some people's minds when they do it. But it amazes me how worked up some people get over these things. And, it's like, okay, people are excited, so they're posting pictures of their boxes. Do I really want to see it? No. But I'm just going to scroll on by, it's like, okay, just, go through. It's just, to me, it's one of those things. It always amazes me how angry people get over these sorts of things. So that's kind of the newest one I'm following.
Details.
Oh yeah. I've never seen people get upset over the fact that people post shipping boxes, but there you go. A new level of internet anger you probably didn't know existed. Boxgate.
And yet here we are. Here we are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Bizarre. Well, I hope that you get your stuff soon, and I hope that it is sooner than many other people in the first wave, so that you too can give them extreme box envy.
Kidder, I actually kind of am okay with my stuff coming later because
then you don't have to move it.
So I'm going to have to move it, but the temptation to like open it up and check everything and make sure I got all the pieces and all of that is going to be like really intense. So I'm hoping to be in my new place and kind of unpacked a bit. So I'm okay with the delay. Like, I'm very much like, take your time, Reaper. Take your time.
Sure.
I kind of regret the fact that I ended up with a wave 1 pledge this time. I'm kind of like, I could go wave 14. I'm okay with the wait. So, but it is what it is. So
yeah, they'll show up.
Enjoy these things.
You'll enjoy it and you'll have a good time with it. That's what's important.
Yeah. So, Kidder.
Yes.
I have an announcement to make.
Ladies and gentlemen, Howard has an announcement to make. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm waiting to hear.
Well, Kidder, this announcement, it's what I think you'll be fairly excited for.
Okay.
It just so happens that coming soon, like in August, returning to the great state of North Dakota, none other than the gentleman from Indiana.
Fantastic. Yeah. That is fantastic news. Congratulations from all of us at Triple B, which is both of us.
Yeah. He heard this week. It's official. He will be returning to the state. So he has also agreed, Kidder, to come on the Triple B. It's official. We don't have an exact episode yet, but ladies and gentlemen, the gentleman from Indiana will make his appearance hopefully in the weeks to come. So I'd like to just say that Operation Poke the Bear was a success. We've done it, ladies and gentlemen. He's coming on the show. So
it's about damn time that piece of trash gets on the show because hey, just time zone this, sleep that, time can't make it. It's about damn time.
Yeah, it only took us 10 episodes to since we started the campaign to actually get a commitment out of him. So yeah, you know, it's it's a big thing. So I figured I should share that. We've been in touch, me and him. So yeah, he's returning to North Dakota, bringing the family. It should be a great time. Looking forward to seeing him again. As much as we give him grief on this show, very excited for his return. So, and truthfully, by the time this comes out, Kidder, he'll already be here. So,
and maybe we'll have an episode recorded with him so that he won't know what we said the next week.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is one of those things.
Yeah. Well, Kidder, we've been talking for quite a while. It's pretty late. I think it's time that we start putting a bow on this particular episode and hit these folks with some good old-fashioned cheap plugs.
Well, I will say, I think that this week, I mean, we're probably pretty short on time for what we normally end up going. Like we said at the beginning of this thing, and if you missed that, go back to the beginning. No,
don't short sell us, Kidder. You know, don't. They got the best out of us that we could give them.
That's it.
It was plenty long.
That's it. All right. Okay. Well, tune in next week, folks, for some more good shit right here on Triple B. Oh, I got to do the cheap plugs first. I thought you wanted to get the hell out of here. Okay, so couple quick notes first. We got to go through all this normal cheap plugging because we want you to be part of the show. That's the whole thing about the show. We want you to be part of the show and enjoy the show. I mean, we're hoping you enjoy the show. So join us. Facebook, great place to find what we're doing. All the episodes right there. We share the links and give a little quip here and there about some things happening with the Triple B. And you can comment, give us some suggestions on there, and even get the links to our website and Podbean and our YouTube page and the KRDN Eyewitness Weather Now page streaming on YouTube or Twitch. Check that out right here at the bottom of your screen. That's twitch.tv/KRDN Eyewitness Weather Now. And it's, of course, your 24-hour weather channel in central North Dakota. Hell, all of North Dakota, because it's really the only legit weather channel. Let's be honest. It's top tier quality. Aside from that, if you want to listen to us, make sure you take us with you wherever you go, in the car, maybe at work when you're trying to get away from your boss and you need something enjoyable to listen to. Check out our shows: Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. We are on the Amazon Podcasts and Audify, or whatever the hell it's called these days. It's Amazon's podcast. You can find us there. You can find us on Pandora. You can find us on Last FM. You can find us all over the damn place. So make sure you check us out at Podbean and search Beer Blues BS. All those other places I just mentioned that I could go down the list again, but I won't. I'll save you the 3 minutes of that. Search Beer Blues BS. Beer Blues and BS. You can check us out right there any time of the day or night. It's available on demand for you as we encroach closer and closer to episode 20. What are we doing for episode 20? I don't know. We'll figure it out when we get there. But it could be something big. So make sure you follow us. Sorry. Got a little over dramatic there. But you can also email us if you want to get in touch with each of us individually. That dude, my bro over there, is Howard at beerbluesbs.com. You can get a hold of me, Hitter at beerbluesbs.com, or perhaps the Rudeboy Kyle. Send him an email, rudeboy at beerbluesbs.com. And of course, the gentleman from Nebraska, that would be Bob Giggles at beerbluesbs.com. Rude boy Nico. We got so many rude boys and this and that and things. And well, thank you for being part of the show, because as I've said it before, couldn't do it without you. And it just adds to the fun from us to be able to share it with you. So for another week, he is Howard Blues, Jake Blues, my bro from another mo. And on top of that, I think it works, Beer Blues BS, the triple B, B cubed, if you will. Beer Blues and BS. Search us, find us, comment, help us get to the next phase. And if you really want to, you can buy us a beer or sponsor the show. The info is at beerbluesbs.com. So please join us again on the next episode of Beer Blues and BS for more BS and more beer. And you know what? We should probably talk about some blues too. Got some music talk for you coming up on the next episode, Triple B. There's a teaser for you right there. Thanks again for joining us, everyone. I am so glad to have you along for the show, along for this here ride, and free beer tomorrow. Keep it classy. And remember, these good brothers couldn't do it without you. So we'll catch you on down the dusty Tuscan Highway.
You have been listening to a UA production of Beer, Blues, and BS. If you enjoyed the show, help others find out about it by rating the show or leaving a review at your podcast listening service of choice. Thanks for listening, and may your glass never be empty. UA Productions presents A Glimpse Behind the Curtain.
I was quickly looking over to the side because I'm like, I think it was episode 17, and I was trying to find the date or the number as I'm saying that. I'm like, episode 20 is coming up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we're on episode 18. So yeah, I mean,
this wasn't 17.
no, this was 18.
Oh,
We did
it
17
says
last week.
It says 17 on the thing.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
On the rundown, it said episode 17. That's why I'm so confused.
The title
Where
of the
the hell
rundown
am
says episode 18.
Who are you? What is this? This is some bullshit.
I'm telling you. Here.
Yeah. I'm sure the title says episode 18 rundown now, especially since you changed it. Because it said 17 before. I'm going to undo your changes.
No, trust me.
Yeah. Why can't I undo? This is some... I'm being censored by Google, damn it. This is crap. Absolute crap. I'm calling shenanigans.
I don't know what to tell you, man. It's episode 18.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Where's the view mode? Where is this shit? Editing. Oh, I need to use Google Docs more.
Yeah. Yeah, you really do.
Yeah. Yeah, I see how it is.
I just noticed I didn't put the date recorded. Let me fix that there. Oh, what? It's almost like somebody went in and changed the permissions, so you're no longer an editor. Nah, you know.
I'm being censored. This is bullshit. I know where you live.
Yeah, but it's late.
Uh-huh. It's usually when we get so feisty. That's what brings the spice to the show. Spice.